Baruch. When the microphone goes on, oh, it went on. Baruch Dayan Hamet. We praise the Judge of Truth. If you have one of these fancy schmancy cell phones, please turn it off or set it to stun or put it to do not disturb. Yes, you can't hear me. My wife says I can't hear her. But that's a different thing altogether. All right, so we'll find out if the microphone, you can't. Let me double check. Baruch Dayan Hamet. You can hear me, okay. It's like a Verizon commercial, that old commercial, right? And he was in the business, right? All right, so Baruch Dayan Hamet, we praise the Judge of Truth. If you have a cell phone, nobody has a pager anymore. However, if you have a cell phone, just, turn it off, put it on Do Not Disturb, set it to stun, however that happens. We begin Harry's service with Psalm 121. Esai enai el haharim me'ayin yavo Ezri me'im Adonai oseh shamayim va'aretz. Al yitein lamot raglecha, al yanum shomrecha. Adonai shomrecha, Adonai tzilcha al yad yaminecha. Yomam hashemesh lo yekeka v'yarech b'layla. Adonai yishmarcha mikol ra yishmoret nafshecha. Adonai yishmar tzilcha v'wecha me'ata v'ad olam. I lift up mine eyes unto the mountains, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way, your protector will not slumber. See, the protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. The Lord is your guardian, he is your protection at your right hand. The sun shall not strike thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will guard you from all harm, he will guard your soul, your going and your coming, now and forever. Death has taken your beloved, our beloved, Herman Shapiro. Friends grieve in their darkened world. In their silence there is lamentation. In their tears there is loneliness. Lost in their sorrow, may they find the presence of loving friends. Hear them, O God, and be with them. For Harry's love that united many, many people in life, and which death cannot sever. For his companionship that was shared along life's path and which continues through the tenderness of memory. For the gifts of his heart and mind, which brought joy and happiness and is now a precious remembrance. For all of these and more, we give our thanks to God. It is a time of profound grief and profound sorrow. And so once again, we listen to the voice of our sacred scriptures from Sefer Tehillim, from the book of Psalms. It brings us the ever-new message of God's nearness, and it tells us of our kinship with the Creator, in light as in darkness, in joy as in sorrow, in life as in death. Together, let us recite the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. It's a privilege to call forward Eileen, Harry's wife, to eulogize him, to be followed by a friend, Eric. Please.
I didn't fall. Thank you, everybody, for coming. It's would have made Harry feel really good. I think knowing him and his consideration for people, he probably would have been appalled that I'm doing this today on Super Bowl Sunday when people would have had other plans. Till later. Okay. So it'll be okay. But thank you all for being here. All the people who came through the family room, thank you for your kind words. And I kept hearing the same things over and over. You know, what a wonderful person he was, how funny he was, how supportive he was, what a great mentor, a boss, all of that over and over. And I thought so too. Like, what a human being that he was. I had some notes because I don't know that otherwise I could get through what I think I want to say. I was driving around some years ago, 10, 12 years, and probably listening to NPR, not fully paying attention to the radio, and something came on, an interview about a new book that had come out and got my attention a little. It was David Brooks was the author. He's a writer, columnist for the New York Times, and the book was called The Road to Character. I probably rolled my eyes like, okay, but I didn't bother to change the channel. And something came up in that interview with him that I've been thinking about for the past weeks, many awful weeks. And in the book, the author identified 2 ways of living a good life. And one of them was living for resume virtues. You know, those are accomplishments, career success, getting elected to something, getting nominated for something, all kinds of impressive achievements. And the other was called living for eulogy virtues. Apt today, I guess, but it was representing the opposite of resume virtues. It was character virtues and how you showed up in the world, how you presented yourself, how you interacted with other people. And through these past weeks, all I could think was that was what Harry Shapiro was about. He never had to read a self-help book to know that. He never had to be told any of that. He just was that. He lived that innately. And I think everybody here felt that off of him. He embodied it, really. He knew how to be in the world, and he knew that the people around him, the staff, the library, the people at the gym, anybody in his orbit felt that off of him, that he lived it, that people mattered more than stuff. He liked his stuff. But it really was about the relationships. And evidence of this, there were, after I hacked his Facebook and posted about his illness, there were over 170 responses, like within a day, that came back. College friends, former co-workers, fellow workers from J.C. Penney back in the 70s. And everybody remembered him the same way. And I think that's significant too. He presented the same person to everyone. And I found that to be a very beautiful thing. Some of the comments, a great sense of humor. I can still hear his laugh. One of the nicest and most honest guys. positively impacted everyone around him. What a gentleman. He always showed up with a smile on his face. After talking to him, it just made my day better. He taught me so much, a great boss and mentor. Everything he taught me, I still carry with me. Warm, fun, caring, kind. I am so thankful for knowing him. So fortunate to have known him, one of the truly good people. He always had a smile when he passed me in the hallway. Always treated me like royalty. He was one of a kind, irreplaceable, and he was humble. And Harry's cousin, Sylvia, posted something on that same slew of messages that she could only imagine the humility with which he would accept all of those other postings. That was him too. The best summary of all, though, that I thought was from a friend in California, that he was a wonderful human, ! And he was a wonderful human. If these aren't the traits that anybody would want to be remembered for, I don't know what is. And so we're all here today thinking about Harry and thinking the same things. I'm really proud that this wonderful human got to be my human for a while, even though it really didn't seem long enough. But I think no matter how long it would have been, it probably wouldn't have felt like enough. So that's it. And I hope I don't fall down the stairs.
And to those words spoken as a prayer, let us say amen. And now, good friend Eric McIntyre, more prayers. Please, right into the microphone. Thank you, sir.
Well, it's hard to top that, isn't it? But I'm going to try. I've been blessed to know Harry for almost 30 years. The first 20 of those years, I had the privilege of working with Harry at Sterling Jewelers. And then I had the good fortune to become close friends over the last 10 after Harry retired. Like many of you, I am still in a state of denial. His illness was so unexpected, and his passing so sudden, I can't quite grasp it. It doesn't seem real. I thought we had more time to say goodbye, to share a glass of wine or enjoy a good meal, to make one more memory to cherish. But fate decided that was not to be. I miss my friend already, as I'm sure all of you do. As I was reflecting on Harry and his legacy, one phrase kept coming to mind. To know him was to love him, which might sound cliche for most of us, including myself, but not for Harry. Everybody liked Harry. His humor and quick wit, his gentle nature and compassion, and especially his ever-present smile and laughter. I can't think of anyone who didn't like Harry. And once you got to know him, it was impossible not to love him. I think that is why Harry had so many friends, and I was always amazed and a little jealous how he was able to keep in regular contact with all of them. People he went to grade school and college with, people he worked with at JCPenney and Sterling, and his extended family across the country and the world. I admired how genuinely interested and engaged he was with all of them. If anyone needed Harry's advice, assistance, or support, he was always there for them, no matter the time of day or the distance to travel. To paraphrase from the song Seasons of Love, how do you measure a life? Measure in love. And by that measure, Harry lived the fullest of lives. To know him was to love him. And after working with Harry for 20 years, I loved his loyalty and work ethic, his attention to detail and passion for excellence. Harry was proud of his accomplishments and achievements at JCPenney and Sterling Jewelers. And being a creative director at big corporations is not an easy job. Having to work with supermodels, world-famous photographers, and former Bond girls can be challenging. And of course, all the executives he had to try to please. Just way too many cooks in the kitchen, stirring too many pots, with too many opinions on how it should be cooked, if you know what I mean. But Harry was always a consummate diplomat, and although no one would have blamed Harry if he had gone postal in one of those many 4-hour-long marketing meetings, he never did. Not even the years when the executives were debating if the holiday catalog was Christmassy enough, or the green color was too green, or the right red was being used. But Harry would just smile, and maybe his ears would get a little red, and say he appreciated the feedback and would take it under advisement, and then he would go back and do what he knew was right to do. That was the Harry we knew, and we loved him for it. To know him was to love him. And one thing I loved and admired about Harry was that he never stopped learning and improving, whether it was his mind, his body, or his community. Harry was a voracious reader and a lover of literature, which led him to being a successful copywriter early in his career. I think that's also one of the reasons he volunteered and supported the Summit County Library. But Harry's true love might have been music. Harry was a generous supporter of the Cleveland Orchestra, and you might have read in the obituary that he recently started back playing the French horn, something he had played early in his youth and had been quite good, attending Juilliard Prep School and several exclusive music camps. What wasn't mentioned in the obituary was that Harry met and crushed on Carly Simon in one of the summer camps. But I really love the humility Harry showed to even attempt something as difficult as the French horn, and especially starting over and not being as good as you once were. That takes a special kind of person, one with guts and grit. Another example is that Harry always worked out, usually with a trainer. In spite of being born with physical problems, you may not know that the doctors told his parents that little Harry may not walk, but he never gave up trying to be the best he could be. When Harry and I took a trip to Romania about 6 years ago, it entailed hiking up mountains, climbing around medieval towers and churches, and Harry was struggling. Okay, he was gasping for breath and red in the face, if we were going to be honest. So when we got back, Harry was determined to improve his cardio and stamina, and he did. In fact, when he first got ill, the medical staff were really impressed by Harry's physical fitness. To know him was to love him, and I loved Harry's uniqueness and the aspects that made him who he was. Harry had an amazing memory, especially when it came to remembering facts. I mean, the man could tell you how much his weekly pay was for his first job out of college, just like that, or what his rent was at his apartments in New York or Dallas without effort. I can barely remember my weekly pay last week. But one aspect that made Harry complete was reconnecting with and marrying his soulmate, Eileen. Eileen told me they actually met at JCPenney where Harry mentored her, and it must have been destiny, and Harry could not have asked for a more supportive, loving, and caring person to marry, especially over these last tragic months. To know him was to love him, and I know everyone here did. Let me close with a poem called Love Lives On. Those we love remain with us, for love lives on. And cherished memories never fade because a loved one's gone. Those we love can never be more than a thought apart, for as long as there is memory, they'll live in the heart. Thank you.
And to those words spoken as a prayer, let us say Amen. We gather this morning to continue to pay tribute to the memory of your dear Herman Shapiro. His Hebrew name was Tzvi. Tzvi in Yiddish is Herschel, but Tzvi in Hebrew is a deer, D-E-E-R. You know, somebody who's agile and somebody who can jump around and prance around. And even if there were times that he couldn't do that physically, emotionally, he was always, just jumping around. He was a hard worker. He was a people person. He was actually a big deal in his professional life, Eileen said. He was a big deal. And he was humble. He didn't act like a big deal. He had character, and he was a character. And he had a zest for life. And he had an infectious laugh. And he laughed at other people's jokes. He made people smile and laugh. And as we talked about Harry, and Eileen recalled so many of his endearing characteristics, it's a reminder of a favorite Talmudic story. It's a great Talmudic story. And it's about, you can check this out if you want, it's in Tractate Ta'anit 22a. I don't know how many of you study Talmud, but Ta'anit 22a. Go ahead, check it out. So here it is. Rabbi Yochanan ben Baroka, he was a 2nd century rabbi, and he was a very saintly rabbi, and he spent a lot of his time pondering the great mysteries of life and the inscrutable secret of life beyond the grave. And one day, as Rabbi Yochanan ben Baroka was walking through the town market, engrossed in his ponderings, he came into direct spiritual communication with Eliyahu Hanavi, with Elijah the prophet. This is Elijah the prophet, the one we invite to our Passover Seder every year. And the kids look and see if he drank any of the wine from Elijah's cup. This is the same Elijah the prophet who's supposed to be the forerunner of the Messianic time, a time of universal brotherhood and sisterhood and peace. And Rabbi Yochanan ben Baroka asked Elijah, will any of these people in this market square share the bliss of the world to come after they have died and I have died? And Elijah points to 2 people that the Talmud says were entertaining others with their playfulness. And Rabbi Yochanan ben Baroka says, what? I mean, these simple performers are going to share the bliss of the world to come after they have died and I have died? What merits do they possess? And Elijah answered, they have joyful, fun-loving spirits that brighten up the hearts of others. And in so many ways, that was your dear Harry. That was our dear Harry. He was a beloved husband and relative and friend and co-worker and so much more, and he was a character. And his personality gave you lots of laugh and enjoyment, laughter and enjoyment. And wisdom, too. But you can be wise and be funny at the same time. Harry Shapiro was born September 26, 1951. He was the only child of George and Edith, both of blessed memory. And as we know, he faced many obstacles in his life, and of course, don't we all share obstacles? He was a living example of a man who worked around obstacles or through obstacles. And yes, you can imagine those meetings. Yes, is this the right color red? Okay, all right, we'll find another color red. Then I'll use the color red I want to use. Is it the right color green? Is it too Christmassy? For a Jew, we love Christmas. And you know what? Nothing stopped him. He never gave up. And a little bit more detail on this example. When he was a child, he was born with one leg shorter than the other. And at about the age 10, the doctor surgically shortened the longer leg to make it shorter. And then he wore a brace, and he had rehab and rehabilitation. And this didn't stop him. Almost nothing stopped him. And when he walked, his gait was a little bit different, but so what? His gait's a little different. And then you find out the story later, maybe. And you go, wow, you were a kid, this happened, and then look at you. We should all work to get through obstacles and around them. And he powered through it, and he exercised religiously. He grew up in Rockville Center in Long Island. He was born in Brooklyn. He graduated in 1973 from from the State University of New York, at New Paltz, someplace I've never heard of, I apologize. And he majored in literature and creative writing. He was in advertising and marketing. He began working for JCPenney as a copywriter in the catalog division, and in 1988 moved to Dallas to be the creative project manager with JCPenney. He relocated to Big D. He was recruited by Signet Jewelers and moved to Akron in 1994. And he was a big deal at Signet Jewelers. At least that's what his wife said. He was a big deal. Now, Harry has Signet Jewelers to thank for completing his life in a most significant way, because it was at Signet Jewelers that he met Eileen Block. They were both older. Neither of them had been married. And, you know, usually you think something's wrong with somebody who doesn't get married till about 49 or 50. Well, there was nothing wrong. I mean, he was doing his thing. She was doing her thing. Eileen was contacted by a headhunter for a job at Signet. And in 1996, Harry was the first interviewer. And she said it didn't seem like he was supposed to be an interviewer. It seemed like somebody else was supposed to be interviewing her. But maybe at the last minute somebody called and said, Harry, look, we got somebody coming in. We'll just sit down with her and interview her. So he did. And she said, Eileen said, it turned out to be the best interview of my life. At the conclusion of the interview, he made sure that my limo to the airport was in order, and he walked me down to the car to see me off, and, engaging in pleasantries the whole time. This is actually very traditional Jewish behavior. You don't just push somebody out the door and say, don't let it hit you in the tuchus on the way out. You walk the person out, you push the elevator button, you talk, walk down. This is very traditional, old school behavior. You walk the person out. Let the person know that you actually do care that you're talking to him and to her. So Signet offered Eileen the job, and she accepted the offer. She said that neither of us had been married, and we were fully formed adults and professionals. We established a friendship and soon decided to begin dating, but we kept it quiet in the office. And then Harry told me he was going to Paris with some friends for a bicycle ride, right? Yeah, going for a bicycle ride. And he suggested that I come over when they were finished with the bicycle ride after a few days. And I said something like, are you crazy? Paris for a first date? Well, I went. And our first date was August 31st, 1997. Now, some of you know that was the night the Princess Diana was killed in a car accident in Paris. So to go to Paris, and it's crazy enough already, it was crazier. So it was a date to be remembered by many people, and for very, very good reasons, by Harry and Eileen. He had a zest for life, and he loved food. He loved driving his BMW. And he knew it was a privilege to own such a car and to have so many things in life to enjoy. It was a privilege. He traveled. She said, we traveled, and we enjoyed it accordingly. And then Eileen said, in our travels, he was the sail, and I was the rudder. You need the wind in your sails, and you certainly need somebody to steer. Harry and Eileen married May 19th, 2001, and cousin Hari is a cantorial soloist, and she officiated that wedding with me. It doesn't seem that long ago. It really doesn't seem that long ago. It was at Mario's restaurant in Aurora, and the food was good. And Harry and Eileen shared a loving marriage of almost 24 years. Eileen continued that he didn't have any siblings, but he made everyone he met in the world like family. And he stayed in touch with people. He recently, in 2023, went to his 50th high school reunion. He brought so many people into their lives together. He was a great mentor, and he was filled with a lot of love. He was exceptionally witty. He loved to laugh, and he was kind and caring and humble. And he was an exceptional friend. He will be dearly missed by everyone who knew him And as we get older, we realize a cliche is a cliche because, well, it's true. To know him was to love him. Near the end of November, his health took a sudden and tragic turn. He had some seizures, and they discovered glioblastoma, a brain tumor. And he fought the cancer and the seizures. There was more than one seizure for a couple of months, for 2 months. And very recently, Eileen moved Harry from the hospital to home hospice, and then to hospice. And he breathed his last on Tuesday, January 28th. To say that people are shocked is an understatement. It's shocked and saddened because it's very untimely. It appeared to be very untimely and very, very sudden. It's as if lightning strikes ground from a clear blue sky. You grope for words to express grief, and few find their way to our lips to express our grief. There was so much more that he wanted to do with Eileen, and so much more that he wanted to do with friends and associates and relatives, and there's so much more that he wanted to say, so much more we wanted to say, and so much more we wanted to do with him. We are bereft, and at the same time, grateful, because now, for Harry, there's no pain, there's no deterioration, there's just rest and wholeness and peace, just as the Sabbath day, just as Shabbat is a day of rest and wholeness and peace. His soul is returning to God and to be with the souls of his dear relatives, friends, and the ancestors of our people. We learn this in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, verse 7. The dust returns to the earth as it was, the spirit returns to God who gave it. One day all of us will join our dear loved ones in Olam Haba, the world to come. Olam Haba is an eternal time. It's not a place. This is a place. Olam Haba is an eternal time. And Judaism teaches, and we believe our souls will be together with our loved ones. God will take care of the souls of our loved ones and take care of our souls. Your memories are filled to overflowing, and we give thanks to God for this gift of life. We're grateful for the time we had, and we had hoped for many, many more years. And at the same time, we hoped for many, many more years in good health. So it's a profound sadness, and yet we are grateful. In so many ways, Harry lived by doing good deeds, by doing mitzvot. And in his loving memory, let us do good deeds, let us do mitzvot. And let us do these things which will help bring honor to his memory. And as you think of him, be helpful and kind. Walk people to the car. Push the elevator button. Spend time. Don't just push them out the door. Walk them out the door. And try to make people smile and laugh. Because as you know, everybody's got tsuras, Yiddish for problems. Everybody's got problems. Everybody. So if you can help brighten someone's day just a little bit, take that opportunity in Harry's loving memory. Through our deeds, the world can be compensated just a little bit for his loss. And so we conclude with words from the first chapter of the book of Job. Adonai Natan, v'Adonai Lakach, Yehi Shem Adonai Mevorach. The Lord hath given, the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. And let us say, Amen. Ose shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, yimru, amen. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael. May God, who causes peace to reign in the high heavens, cause peace to rain down upon us, upon all Israel, and upon the soul of our dearly departed Harry Shapiro, our dear Tzvi, and let us say Amen. Please rise for the El Maleh Rachamim prayer. Into your care, O God, we entrust the spirit of our dear Harry Shapiro, for you keep faith with your children in death as in life. Sustain us that we may meet with serenity the mysteries that lie ahead, knowing that when we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you, O God, are with us, a loving friend in whom we put our trust. You are the light of our life, our hope in eternity. El Maleh Rachamim, Shochen Bamromim, Hametzeh Menucha Nechona, Tachat Kanfei Hashchina, Im Kedoshim U'Tohorim, Gezohar Harakia Mazhirim, Et Nishmat Tzvi, Shahalach Le'olamo, Ba'al Harachamim, Yastirehu B'Seitei Kanafav Le'olamim, Vayitzror B'Tzor HaChaim, Et Nishmato, Adonai hu nachalato, v'nanuach b'shalom al mishkavo, v'nomar Amen. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to our dear Tzvi, our dear Harry, Herman Shapiro, our dear Harry. He has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let him find refuge in the shadow of your wings, and let his soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is his inheritance. May he rest in peace. And now, sanctifying God's name, we recite Kaddish for our dear Harry. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, ba'alma divrach chirutei v'yamelich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yamechon v'chayechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah muvarach le'olam al'almei al-maya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudashah b'richu. Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran ba'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'yimru amen. May God cause peace and grant peace to those who mourn and comfort all who are bereaved, and let us say Amen. Please be seated for a moment. All right, so somebody has a phone. Can you give me the address to Beachmont Country Club? You can look it up, I'm sure. 28600 Chagrin. Beachmont Country Club at about 12:15. We'll gather there for a Shiva meal. We'll light the candle and we'll eat a Shiva meal from 12:15 until 2. And then Eileen is having people to her home for Shiva on Monday and Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. and then from 7 to 9 p.m. They're going to breathe between 6 and 7. So between 4 and 6 and 7 and 9 p.m. on Monday and Tuesday. The address is 676 Sunnyside Avenue, and it's in Akron, as you well know. So Monday and Tuesday from 4 to 6 and 7 to 9. We'll be saying the Kaddish prayer at Beachmont, and we'll say Kaddish at our little synagogue in Mayfield Heights, Temple Israel Ner Tamid. We do services every Friday night at 7:30. We'll say Kaddish for Harry for the next month. The Hebrew school kids are going to say Kaddish for Harry because they need reps on the Kaddish. The Sunday school kids are going to say Kaddish for Harry because they need reps on the Kaddish. Every kid needs to learn prayers. And so we'll be saying Kaddish for Harry. Lech yishidacha Adonai, go your way for God has called you. Lech v'Adonai ye'imach, go your way and may God be with you. V'halach lifanecha tzidkecha, kevod Adonai yasfecha. May your righteousness go before you, and may the glory of God receive you. Eileen is wearing a Kriya ribbon. You'll see this ribbon. It is symbolic of when a loved one is torn from you. And so she'll be wearing that ribbon. Today is day number 1. She'll wear it for 7 days. Every day, whatever clothing she puts on, she'll put on this ribbon. And so please repeat these words after me, speaking them to her, who's wearing the mourner's ribbon. May God console you with all who mourn in Zion and Jerusalem. Hamakom yinachem etchem betosh avet Zion v'Yerushalayim. Now let us all go forth in peace to life and live our lives in ways which will bring honor and even a smile to our dear Harry's face. And let us say Amen. And now we will go to Beachmont Country Club, and we'll see you there, and we'll gather for 12:15. 29600 Chagrin Boulevard. 29900. What? 29600. 29600. I'll just put it in the GPS. Beachmont Country Club. This concludes our service here at the funeral home.